We have now learned the factual premise that the Lakers can win without LeBron James. So if you're the guy that was staging your own personal holdout, which I believe he was, and it backfires because the Lakers are 7-2, now you've got no choice but to really double down on the sciatica.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
If Jacoby Brissett was playing bad football for the past 3 weeks, Kyler Murray will be fully healthy, ready to go. Can't wait to get him on the field at Seattle and try to resurrect our season. Now you have Jacoby Brissett playing really good football. Putting Kyler Murray back in right now because he wasn't playing good football doesn't make any sense. The perfect storm here for Arizona. Hey, Kyler, going on IR takes the pressure off you. And Jacoby, you deserve the start. Go ahead and start, kid.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Sauce Gardner heading over to the Indianapolis Colts as they go all in on this season and beyond. As I think a lot of people have been noting, that move does not just say, hey, we like what we have this year. It says we like what we have moving forward, and that includes Daniel Jones as their starting quarterback for Dallas. What does that decision to bring in Quinnen Williams say? That means they're poorly ran, but we already knew that.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
And the major thing you're going to say about Tom Izzo for the jump is, Tom Izzo don't duck anybody. You want to hear who they have to play preseason? Kentucky, Duke, UNC, and Arkansas. This is not the Jimmy Boeheim Don't Leave New York Carrier Dome Classic. This guy plays people.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Time Decisions is live on SportsGrid. We are happy to have you with us here for a big time Friday. Kevin Walsh right here from the Decisions desk. 90 minutes with a pretty crowded slate. I think the argument for biggest games tonight is potentially won by the College Football Board. 2 games, both featuring ranked teams. Louisville hosts Clemson as a sub-field goal favorite. The preseason ACC favorites look to play spoiler here against the Cardinal and get themselves pretty much locked into a bowl game. They have one remaining against Furman and then a trip to South Carolina. They will win the Furman game. They just need to win one of the 2 others. Clemson is live here. Clemson is kind of settled in now as maybe, if not definitely, better than their record, but still wildly disappointing. For Louisville, though, 2 losses, both at home, both as favorites, both in overtime. Heartbreaking. And the most recent loss to Cal potentially ends their season. There's a lot of tiebreakers that are right now not pointing their direction as it pertains to a trip to the ACC championship game. And there's no chance, in my eyes at least, for Louisville to receive an at-large berth into the college football playoff. Need a win tonight, though, to keep any of those dreams alive. For Oregon, they avoided a disaster last week. Number 8 team in the country will be hosting the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They'll do so as a 25.5-point favorite. Iowa put a scare into this team last week, but Oregon walked it off 18-16, a 39-yard field goal, the difference in that game. For the Ducks, we're hearing an understandable but a lot of chatter around the idea that they don't need this game. Nothing to see here. Win by 3, win by 30, it's all the same. You have to handle business next week in a huge one against USC. That's somewhat true, but Dan Lanning is not going to not have some desire to run it up. That's kind of who they are. They've not been able to do that since the Rutgers game. That's a month ago. I'm scared in this spot. The number looks too big. The spot says Minnesota. The health says Minnesota. I'm hands up. We're going to get some insight around this one tonight, though, from both Coach Terry Bowden. Can't wait to get his thoughts for this weekend, as well as our guy, Joe Lisi, who will help us get ready for all of the football that is still to come. Sticking with the college game, on the hoop side of things, plenty of ranked teams in action. Kentucky looks to bounce back after their loss to Louisville. Duke is hoping that they can continue to steamroll. Michigan, who was nearly upset at home by Wake Forest, will now look to avoid that fate on the road against TCU as they're laying under 10 in that game. The best game is late night out west. That is UCLA and Arizona. You know what? It's a Friday. Why not treat the people? I'm betting this game. I'm betting the dog. Give me the Bruins at plus 105. The numbers work their way, actually, in the market. UCLA's slower pace, I think, could be a little jarring to an up-and-down Arizona team that clearly thrived in that environment in their opener against Florida. I think this number has been wildly influenced by that game against Florida. And unfortunately, despite the fact that I picked Florida to win a national championship, that Gators team nearly lost at home to Florida State. I think they can get better, but right now, they're not as good as perception, and that's why I think Arizona's a little overvalued here in the market. And even if Arizona's pace is how this game plays out, transfer Donovan Dent, the reason UCLA is talked about so favorably by many this year, will be comfortable in that environment. I like the Bruins to pull off what would be a minor upset here against Arizona in the Intuit Dome. They're actually playing where the Clippers play. No Clippers action tonight, but the Clippers are playing on the road because we have the NBA Cup tonight. A lot of games here, a lot of interesting spots. The Clippers are 3-point road favorites against the struggling Dallas Mavericks. That one, though, hardly your headliner. That is probably the game that starts an hour later in San Antonio with the Spurs and the Warriors. Victor Wembanyama and San Antonio will look to go to 2-0 in their group as they upset the Houston Rockets in the opening game of group play. The Rockets, a team that I picked to win the NBA Cup, are in action as well, laying between 7.5 and 8.5 against the Portland Trailblazers. Earlier on this slate, a couple of good games in the Eastern Conference. The Pistons at 10-2 will be hosting the Philadelphia 76ers as a 3.5 point favorite in this one. The Knicks, who just lost their first home game of the season, will be hosting Miami as a 6.5 point favorite despite no Jalen Brunson. Brunson, with a turned ankle, will be out for this game, perhaps a few more beyond that. Miami, though, still injured and missing Bam Adebayo, not likely going to find themselves favored in many road games without Bam in the lineup. Perhaps they could pull off an upset here, though, against the Knicks team that I actually did bet to win that group, so I certainly won't be rooting it in that direction. That is primarily where I expect many of you will be betting tonight. If you are interested, the Ice has 3 to go. We've actually already seen a final in Nashville, Pittsburgh. The Predators winning a Global Series game 2-1 in overtime. The Canes host the Canucks, the Blues host the Flyers, and then the Mammoth in Utah are home against the New York Islanders. That is where we are for tonight's board. What about this weekend? As always, on a Friday, we get you ready. The picks party will begin as we have GTD State University, our favorite college picks for the weekend. We have our Friday 5, our favorite NFL picks for the weekend, along with team best bets, which you will be getting, and we're going to continue to set you up for the weekend. Like I said, Coach Terry Bowden helping us out. We've got Joe Lisi coming. We've got Brady Cannon helping us out. We also have NFL insider Adam Kaplan set to join us tonight. Get some insight from him around the New York Giants and their decision to move on from Brian Dable. And Cap, very well connected to the Philadelphia Eagles, what he's hearing around A.J. Brown, who has been really discussed all year long, and there's no end in sight with that one. We'll see if Cap has a little bit of insight around that. Looking towards this NFL week tonight, excited to see how some of the numbers have moved here with so many big games on this slate. We've talked about it, that trio of games. Sunday Night Football, Philadelphia hosting the Detroit Lions. Then at 4 o'clock, a pair of awesome ones. The MVP battle between Stafford and Darnold. Huh? Yes, I know. Stafford versus Darnold, the MVP battle, as the Rams are up to 3.5 point favorites. And then the AFC West is arguably on the line between the Broncos and the Chiefs. If Denver wins this game, they will go to considerable favorites to win the division. KC will go to minus money, though, likely, if they pull off an upset here. They'll close that gap as far as, it'll be one in the loss column with a game still to be played in Arrowhead with these two teams. So it's a double got to have its spot at 4 o'clock. There's so many good games in the NFL that we will get to. But we're going to be highlighting the NBA Cup and some of the college basketball as well with the help of Coach James Young, host of both Pro Basketball Today and College Basketball Today here on the SportsGrid Network. And there are a few interesting spots that we will look towards, not just for tonight, but maybe even this weekend. The return of LeBron James is supposed to be around the corner for the Lakers. What does that mean? What can we expect? How can we bet it with LeBron potentially coming back? And I think one of the most anticipated early season matchups, BYU versus UConn. A.J. Dybonsa and the Cougars in his home state of Massachusetts go to not too far from UConn's stomping grounds and play at the TD Garden. A number that is favoring a Huskies team who have been on a smashing spree since their opener where they didn't cover a big-time number. I'm excited to see what Coach has to say about that. Who knows? JY might be booked and busy. There's a St. John's game. Did he get an invite from Princeton to follow them down to Lawrence and go to the field house and at Fog Allen and watch them play Kansas? You never know with JY. He's a world traveler. We are lucky enough to have him, though, within our grasp. After the break, we are live with you. It is Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid. We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, brother, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Newman's pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on SportsGrid, it is Game Time Decisions, and we have the host, Pro Basketball Today and College Basketball Today, Coach James Young with us here. JY, always great to have you, man. We got a really good night of NBA Cup in front of us, a couple of interesting college spots. I know betting-wise, though, it's the NBA that's really calling you, and we have an interesting one with the Knicks and the Heat. No Jalen Brunson, always a tough thing to adapt when you're missing your star, but for Mike Brown, it's his first go-around without Jalen Brunson, right? Yeah, now listen, he's obviously coached teams that have missed guys before, but Every situation is unique, and he goes up against Eric Spoelstra on the other side of the court. What are you expecting from this game tonight?
Thibodeau, Jalen Brunson getting hurt like the last couple of minutes of the game, in which the Knicks have no chance of winning. So I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. But Kevin, when you look at this matchup, you got to look at the fact that no Tyler Hero, no Bam Adebayo on the other side for Miami. Also, you got to look at the fact that earlier this year the Knicks went to Miami and did not play well and lost. Knicks also 0-2 in NBA Cup. They're probably not going to make it out of there. It was 4.5, went to 5.5. Now it's 6.5. I think the Knicks just have enough firepower with everyone else. Probably Deuce McBride steps into the starting lineup. Maybe look at Jordan Clarkson and his numbers. He should have increased role scoring the ball. But Miami 3-1 against the spread. Knicks 5-1 against the spread. Heat banged up. So are the Knicks. I think the Knicks are the better team, especially without Bam and Hero. Give me the Knicks minus the points.
Jay, I want to throw something at you here. With this Miami team, all in all, whether they win or lose tonight, I think they're off to a start that they feel pretty good about. Sitting 7-5, Open Eastern Conference. Eric Spoelstra, seen as one of the, at worst, 5 best coaches in basketball, if not maybe still the best coach in basketball, depending on who you ask. There are some names that are going to become available. We know that, right? Specifically out of Dallas, Anthony Davis. Do you think Miami should look at their start to the season and be aggressive, JY, in looking to add a little bit more talent to this roster? Or, all in all, Spoelstra can be good, but they're not close enough?
Kevin, the East is wide open. I mean, let's be honest. You know, the Knicks, yeah, probably they're the best team, quote unquote, on paper, but they still have to adapt and they can't get stops. Right? Yeah. Cleveland, they can't prove it in the playoffs. Detroit, let's see what JB Bickerstaff does because he gets outcoached by a paper bag when it gets to the playoffs, right? Milwaukee, I think they're going to fade. Philadelphia, can they stay healthy? Indiana, they were like 1-11, you know? So when you're looking around the East, you're like we can win it too. So I think it's a wide open East. And I think about Miami, I look at it. Now, the reason why Anthony Davis came up is so intriguing to them is because of the fact that they played Anthony Davis and Bam 4-5. And I think that becomes intriguing, K-Dub, because you can mix and match how you do it, right? In regards to who's inside, who's outside, kind of play that mismatch game of finding where you can get more of involved. And I think at the end of the day, as much as I love Tyler Hero is a perfect piece to go to Dallas because now you could have, when he comes back, Kyrie, Tyler Hero, Cooper Flagg, Derek Lively, and and then PJ Washington, and you still have yourselves, I would think, in my opinion, a formidable starting 5.
So, JY, what are we looking at here value-wise potentially in this matchup with Milwaukee and Charlotte? Giannis back in the lineup. We just saw these teams play. No Giannis. Comfortable Hornets win. What are you looking for here tonight?
Yeah, Kevin, listen, they were 4.5-point underdogs, the Hornets, and they won by 11. So now if you start calculating it, is Giannis worth 20 points? He's worth a lot. Is he worth 20? I think it's too much, Kev. I'm going to take the points with this Hornets team. I think a team that I think is starting to play a little bit better. Bucks 1-6 against the spread the last 7 games. LaMelo, I think he may be in the lineup. So to me, I look at that matchup. I think Milwaukee wins, but I think the Hornets find a little bit of way to cover that number. It's a big number, especially get a 9.5 cap. You're looking at 4 possessions now in regards to it. So I like that. And to go along with that, Con Knippel. Everybody's talking about all these rookies. Con Knippel's been pretty good as of late. Over 23.5 PRA, over 4 of his last 5 games, stepped up his play as Brandon Miller's been out. I know that LaMelo could be back, but to me, he still does enough of the rebounding and the assist to get to there. Con Knippel over 23.5 PRA tonight.
Yeah, you're not wrong, JY. Knippel's been impressive for Charlotte. They have to feel pretty good about that selection right now as things stand. There is a money line catching your eye late night with the Spurs and the Warriors. Why not let the cat out the bag? We haven't done our best bets yet on this show. JY and I, no strangers to being head-to-head, but not tonight. JY, we are seeing it the same, my brother. I love the Spurs. I love the Spurs here. Tell the people why.
Well, Kevin, it's very simply put. The Spurs were completely outplaying them in the first half, and it was a monumental, 43-point third quarter. And then, to me, here's the thing. They got 76 out of Jimmy Butler and Steph on the second leg of a back-to-back.
Yep.
I just don't see them repeating it. You saw what happened the night before with Kuminga and Draymond and Jimmy Butler questioning his effort. Kevin, I think there are issues still there in that organization.
Yep.
I am a big believer in this Spurs team. They got to figure out De'Aaron Fox. They're sneakily one of the, is that a word, sneakily? But if it is, I just made it up. They're sneakily one of the best, deepest teams in the league. Give me the Spurs, poor Vida, on the money line tonight.
I agree with JY. I really like San Antonio here for countless reasons. And I think part of it is knowing the situation going into their most recent matchup. Golden State was on the second leg of a back-to-back. The San Antonio Spurs were laying around 4.5 or so in that game. The issue with that spot was Golden State just got smashed by OKC and had not one, not two, but all three of the big three outwardly be like, yeah, we got to figure this out. This is a mess right now. It's embarrassing. We're not playing hard. We're not playing smart. That was a game they needed to answer. And to Coach's point, Steph scored 46. When Steph does that, typically those Warriors games get ugly. That was never ugly. And a young team, JY talked about this a lot last year with Houston, a young team in the NBA Cup. I'm going to call it like I see it. I think they start seeing dollar signs in these games. I think they get real excited, man. We love some Spurs here on GameTime Decisions tonight. We're going to talk some college hoops and best bets with JY after the break. We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numerous pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Let's put some best bets on the board for the people. You just heard my best bet tonight, the San Antonio Spurs. I laid the 2.5 at -114. If this lands 1 or 2, c'est la vie. What are you going to do? Best bets from behind the curtain. Sam sends in Hofstra -3.5. I just view that as an excuse to mention Iona plays in 5 minutes' time. Get your best bets in while you still can, as the Gales are playing Fordham tonight at home, laying 5.5. Chris
with a Clemson-Louisville over. Honestly, because Chris knows this, occasionally I'll give him a tough time for a best bet. That's a step-up best bet. Listen, that best – if you tuned into Game Time tonight, you're like, hold on a minute, Spurs, Hofstra? Like, what's up with this college football board? Chris stepped up to the plate here, gave you an over in a big-time ACC matchup. We've got Coach James Young with us here. We're going to be talking to Coach Terry Bowden coming up just shortly. But, JY, just remind everybody, best bets tonight from you, NBA-wise, anything we did not get to in our just previous segment.
Yeah, a couple of them. Number one, Jaden McDaniels over 22.5 PRA, over 7 of the last 8 games, 5 out of 7 versus Sacramento. Sacramento 28th in PRA allowed to small forwards with a 62% hit rate going over. Give me Jaden McDaniels over 22.5 PRA. Then I'm going to Mitchell Robinson over 7.5 rebounds, over 5 of the last 6. Heat 24th in rebounds allowed to centers. The 29th in offensive rebounds allowed to centers against arguably the best offensive rebounder in the game and no Bam Adebayo who can get him into foul trouble. They're playing Mitch in smaller segments, Kevin, 3-4 minutes to give him breaks. He knows how he's going in and out. He should go off. Give me Mitchell Robinson over 7.5 rebounds.
We're here with Coach James Young, host of both Pros Basketball Today and College Basketball Today. JY, tonight on the college board, a couple of interesting spots, but I really want your thoughts on BYU UConn, which is Saturday, because you have BYU booking a basketball game in Boston. For anybody that doesn't know, that's a Dybonsa piece of booking. That is Massachusetts. That's his hometown. And they're playing UConn, though. So basically the building is going to be all UConn fans and the Dybonsa family. Like, that's what you're setting up for here. UConn's a favorite. They have not played anyone, but they've started to look dominant. For Dybonsa, it's a great test. You know Hurley is not going to let him get anything easy, JY. What will you be looking for in that game? 5.5-point line favoring the Huskies.
Honestly, pace. If you are Dan Hurley, you're going to make this a street fight. I mean, Kevin, this guy's been up by 40 points in games, and he is MFing his team up and down the timeouts. So he is dialed in, and he's dialed in a way the Danny Hurley we saw a couple of years ago before anybody thought they could make that run. He's kind of gotten that like toughness moniker. I think it's going to be minus 5.5 for UConn. I think that place is going to be rocking in Boston. Like I said, that's not a far drive up I-95 or up 91 from Hartford to get to Boston. There'll be tons of UConn fans. And I will say this. He will not let the Banza beat him. If there's any prop you look at, if you think that BYU is going to win or cover, Richie Saunders has got to be the play. Because they're going to literally take the Banza out of the game. They're going to make this a grown man game, and they're going to have to snipe them from the outside in order to win that game, because the Banza's not going to be able to get to the basket because they're just going to man them up. So to me, I like UConn minus the points, but if you find player props, Richie Saunders should be the guy to look at, because if I'm Hurley, I'm taking away the Banza. I'm not letting him celebrate in the Northeast tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, I think that he is certainly going to want to make life difficult on him. I think what's interesting is, Hurley's really smart. You think back now, different setting, but the way they approached Zach Edey in the national championship game, where they actually kind of allowed Edey a little bit, right, to play one-on-one, kind of have that 35-point game, but let's, settle in on everybody else. Speaking of Purdue, by the way, JY, that's a big-time win they just got yesterday against Alabama. For Braden Smith, the Player of the Year case, people will remember that game on the road in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, that was a big-time performance, and you just look at that team, and Fletcher Laurie did not play well. I mean, he literally put that team on the back. 86-80, going to win against an Alabama team that just hung 103 to St. John's. I mean, does that tell you something, folks? What does that tell you? Sometimes, just like Kentucky, you can go get all the transfers you want, but the better way to do it is if you have experience. Lawyer, Kaufman-Wren, Braden Smith, right? Davidson back. Purdue's going to be dangerous, and Matt Painter can get them to the finish line.
I think JY is spot on just in acknowledging the setup that they have there with Purdue. We'll keep talking college. We'll pivot towards the football world. JY, we appreciate it. We'll be right back here on SportsGrid.
now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
No, but the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Is
now.
that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, brother, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numerous pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions on a Friday night. Kevin Walsh with you, now joined by legendary head coach, Coach Terry Bowden. Coach, it is great, as always, to have you on here. And we not only have great games this weekend, we've got some really, really good games tonight with the ACC and the Big Ten being featured.
Yeah, we've got great games. Usually you don't get quite these many good ones early, but now they're fitting everybody in. And, both games outstanding tonight. I may have a hard time keeping my eyes awake for that second one, but it's going to be fun leading into this weekend.
So, Coach, let's start with Louisville and Clemson. And, usually when it's a top 20 team against an unranked group, it's all the top 20 team's the interesting one. I got to tell you, I find Clemson a little bit more fascinating here because the Tigers, it's such a down year. But they are better than that 4-5 record suggests. I think they proved it a bit against Florida State. Even that game against Duke, they probably were the right side, even though they weren't able to close the door. How do you feel about Dabo's team tonight on the road against a Louisville team coming off a really heartbreaking loss?
I'm going to pick the upset on Clemson tonight. They played well last week, had a big win over Florida State. They've got themselves trying to go for another win. They've got a chance if they can win 2 out of the last 3 to go to a bowl. Now, you got to understand Dabo. His legacy is critical to him. He's had 19 straight bowl seasons. And so the one way he can salvage this season in his own mind, get this team to a bowl. So he's ready to play. They will be ready to play this game tonight. Louisville coming off another overtime loss, their second in a row. They had their worst offensive performance last week, but they also have an outstanding defense. They need to win to keep themselves in that remote hunt for a conference championship or a playoff game. And so this is important to them as well. They just had a little bit of uncertainty about their quarterback. And because of that, I really like Clemson here just because I've got a feel for Dabo and worked with him, and I know how he's going to approach practice all week going into this football game.
Yeah, it's such an interesting spot. It's been a really interesting year, Coach, within the ACC where, we're hearing people talk about the world. If Duke wins this conference at 4 losses, are they not going to get what was assumed an automatic seat at the table in the college football playoff? I tend to believe that even if Duke is in that game, they will lose because, if you have 4 losses, that 5th is probably around the corner. But
It's incredible to see how things stack up in the ACC right now, Coach.
It's so screwed up. It really is. Everybody's got a blemish. Everybody's got that big pimple in the forehead. Just excuse the expression. Everybody doesn't look pretty, and I don't have anybody that I had Georgia Tech I was following for so long until they got beat. And so that's kind of the way it is. Duke is one of the worst because I think of their quarterback being one of the best. Their defense, very aggressive, very talented. Then they go out and lose games that they should win. And yet here they are, 4-1 in the conference, and we could see them in the championship game. But I'm like you. They have shown over and over again they can find a way to lose.
Going over to this Oregon-Minnesota game tonight, Coach, this is where I think your insight is so incredibly valuable because I think a lot of people are betting this game tonight, not, X's and O's. It's all about motivation specifically through the lens of Dan Lanning, the head coach of Oregon, right? Where they had a tough one last week against Iowa. They got an important one next week against USC. That injury report is longer than you want it to be. Right. And you're hearing a lot of people, Coach, be like, Lanning is going to look to run it and get out of there. I don't know. I've seen Dan Lanning look to run it and then throw it and then throw it a little bit more and run this thing up.
Well, he would if he can. I don't know that he can right now because of an injured receiver, tight end. They've got to lean on that running attack. And then you've got Minnesota, P.J. Fleck. I coached against him several times when he was at Western Michigan. He's had an off week. And he runs the slowest offense in the country. They take more time per play than any team in FBS. He's going to slow it down, and Oregon's going to run the football. And I just think there's not enough time in the game to win by 25. So I'm not betting on Minnesota. I'm betting on that 25.5 or wherever it is right now because I just don't think Oregon can put that many points on the board if this thing goes slow and they run the football.
Coach, with this Oregon team, a loss last week against Iowa really would have put them up against it. But they're now in a position they probably – not tonight. They can't afford a loss tonight.
Right.
But even if they split USC and Washington, they may still be clear as far as being that third representative out of the Big Ten. We know Ohio State and Indiana will be there. We already know that.
Right.
But this Oregon team had a moment where the expectations were really high. Dante Moore was talked about as could this be the number one quarterback that comes off of the board? How do you feel about this team right now after last week's win at Iowa?
Well, you know what? They're kind of like Miami. Everybody recognizes through the NIL they are a very talented team. Their program has committed to bringing in the best talent in the country, and that's the kind of way we look at them. And yet they've lost a couple of games. They barely beat Iowa 18-16 last week, and so it's a very talented team. It's a team that can go through the playoffs and be kind of successful because of the talent level. But it's still a team that's going to have to fight their fanny off just to get there now, because they've had some tough losses in the past. But I do think the Big Ten will get 3 teams in the playoffs, and I think Oregon will be that third team. They may drop one more game, but I think they're going to make it.
For USC, because we're going to talk about a lot of the games this weekend. There's a lot of great ones in the SEC, but we still actually have, what is a ranked versus ranked game in USC versus Iowa. And for me, I give Iowa a lot of credit. They right. scared Oregon. That was a real Hawkeye spot, Hawkeye's weather. Right. I find myself thinking that USC has an opportunity to, extend a little bit. I think their offense is still clicking with Mayava. Lincoln Riley's got this thing, going here. Do you think Iowa could put that fear into USC the way they just did Oregon this past week?
No, they'll keep it close, but the old saying, it never rains in Southern California. They always say it never snows in Southern California, and it never sleets, and it's never icy. And they're not going to face the November weather that Iowa loves so much. And I don't think Iowa can keep up because Southern Cal still does have an explosive offense. They can put points on the board, playing a very good defense. But when I look at the way Southern Cal can play, it's a big game for them. I just don't think Iowa is that same November team that we talked about last week when they're playing in Southern California against an offensive team that's explosive as USC is. So I've got USC winning this game. I've got them carrying the game. I don't think they have to win quite as much against Iowa, and I think they can do it with that offensive attack that they have.
It's such a fun spot, I think, for USC because that loss early season to Illinois was really brutal. And then with Notre Dame still on the schedule, they've handled their business enough. They, I think, almost assuredly will actually need to upset Oregon next week. And, that's dangerous. You're looking ahead. But for Lincoln Riley, there is a chance here, I think, Coach, to get into the playoff. And if that offense is in the playoff, I tend to think they can be dangerous. Maybe I'm overreacting to some recent performances, but now I don't know if they'll beat them because, it's tough to win in Eugene. I think in this moment, USC is actually playing better football than Oregon.
Well, I think if you look at them just the last game or so, I think you're right about that. They are, but they score points. The problem with USC is that when you get to the championship level, the playoff level, it's your defense that's most important. And that's the part that's going to have to come through because when you start playing the best teams in the country, they all can play defense. And that score goes way down, and your defense has to step up. But I do think Southern Cal wins tomorrow in that game tomorrow, and then they will have a chance now. Even if they lose to Oregon, I think they make the playoffs.
All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break here on Game Time Decisions. But when we get back, we get to talk to Coach about some awesome ones. As always, every Saturday it feels like in the SEC. But we, all right, we're going to actually, I think I messed this up. Okay. I actually don't think we're going to be talking to Coach after the break. Coach, you're the best. We appreciate it. Adam Kaplan is next here on SportsGrid. That's on me, Coach. We appreciate it.
That's all right. I'll be back next week.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to nothing.
Keep that dude away from polite society.
Okay, brother, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numerous pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
We are back on SportsGrid. It is Game Time Decisions, again, on me. But if you were, hey, I want to listen to Coach Bowden talk about the SEC games, you're fine. College football today, Coach will be there with Donnie and Lacey. You're in good hands, and you're still in good hands. I got to tell you, it would be, for most people, a tough act to follow. I was promising Coach Bowden, but we've got NFL insider Adam Kaplan. And, Cap, it's always great to talk to you, but, man, oh, man, It's we're not fighting for topics, right? We're not struggling to figure out, hey, what's interesting right now. We have to start
with the Philadelphia Eagles and A.J. Brown. I've told people this. I saw somewhere the lower banner that they were using to talk about it said, A.J. Brown responds to his own comments. That is how much A.J. Brown is the one talking right now. What are you hearing around this situation in Philadelphia?
So, look, a couple things here. So, Nick Sirianni, by the way, this is interesting. I don't know if you know this. Nick Sirianni and A.J. Brown, I think every Monday afternoon, night, have a FaceTime, So they just talk. And Kevin Patullo, the OC, went on the record and talked about it this week. A.J. Brown's in his office a lot. But the thing is, Kevin, and we know that the Eagles want to be a run-first team, but the running game has not been special like last year, it was a historic run game. And Brown's just not getting the football. I mean, they target him early twice, then don't get him the football. I know they won, Kevin, and the win had nothing to do with what happened against Green Bay. Sunday night, by the way, it's going to be very windy and gusty during the game against Detroit. But the A.J. Brown thing is he's just not getting the football. And to his credit, though, all he's saying is this is not a Terrell Owens situation. I know locally on the talk shows here in Philly, they're trying to bring that up. He's not. He's not being belligerent. He's just saying, I want the football. Yeah, he goes on social media and he talks about it. He did the Twitch show, his friend's Twitch show. They talk about it. Family life's great, but football life isn't so great. He wants the football. And that's on Patullo. That's on Hurts to get him the football. That's the thing. It's hard to believe the guy's being paid over $30 million. And Kevin, think about it this way. He could just say, hey, we're winning. I don't care if I get the football or not. I get my money. He's not like that. He's competitive. That's the thing that people are missing. Now, on your point about he was responding to his comments, he didn't back off it. He was very matter of fact. Other times he apologized. He said, I'm not apologizing. You know what it is. Mm-hmm. That's what he said. He goes, I'm not apologizing. I want to help. He wants to help, and they're not letting him help. And that's what his complaint is.
It's so interesting, Kat, because everything you said is true. But he was also angry after the Minnesota game where he had 121 yards, 2 touchdowns, and they won. He's been mad all year long.
Yeah. Here's why, Kevin. Okay. I get it. He got the ball. Here's the thing. He wants it on time and within structure. Hurts, like Mahomes, like Josh Allen, a number of quarterbacks, he doesn't throw on time a lot. And it's interesting. Devontae Smith is much better coming back to the ball than A.J. Brown is. That's one criticism I have of A.J. But the bottom line is they don't target him enough. And he would like it when the game plan is, or when he gets a decent amount of targets, he'd like the ball to be where it's supposed to be. And that's kind of what the tape looks like, I'm told. So he doesn't always get it where he should be getting it. But look, Hurts plays a certain way. I know you're an Eagles fan. You know this. Hurts tends to hold on the ball a lot. He just does. This is the way he's done it. But he wins. That's the confounding part about Jalen Hurts is you could criticize him for not throwing on time, short passing numbers, but he just continues to win. And that's the thing. And A.J. Brown knows that how much could you complain about other than you not getting the football? You keep winning. But what would happen if they lose to Detroit and lose to Dallas and he doesn't get the football?
Right.
That
I think
could be World War III.
One of the, Cap, what's so interesting about the Hurts piece of it this year is I believe that he objectively has been good this season. Like the passer rating is top 5 in football. He's the highest graded player on offense via Pro Football Focus. I know that stuff doesn't have to be Bible, but I mean, Cap, you're right. I watch the games.
The tape doesn't reflect that. I can just tell you that it doesn't. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the games that I watch, he's been good. He was
all 22. It doesn't reflect that.
Well, what about? But he had a perfect passer rating against Minnesota.
He played very well. He played well. He's played
the comeback against the Rams. He was brilliant.
He brought them back, but you have to when you evaluate quarterbacks, Kevin, you have to grade every single pass. This is what coaches tell me they do it. They're not going by what they don't. Coaches do not use PFF grades, just so you know. They use it for other stuff.
Yeah.
The bottom line is Hurts has had an up and down season. He's had a couple the Minnesota game was really good. And by the way, he threw the ball in time there. That's what Brown wants, save for like 2 throws in the Minnesota game. Mm-hmm. Another game, Giants game. One of the games there were some good throws against the Giants, by the way. But overall, he's had an up and down season. By the way, he's not running the football. If we're going to get deep into the Eagles this year, he's not running the football at all. They're not designing a lot of runs for him. That's bizarre for the prop numbers, or if you're playing for fantasy, he's just not running the ball a lot. And that's the strange thing. It's one of these things, Kevin, when you look at this league, right? Philly's one of those teams you go, how the hell are they 7-2? Excuse my language, but how are they 7-2? They're really not that good on offense.
I do think so I think to your point about Hurts, what I actually think has happened is he has, I don't think they played 10. Have they played 10? They played 9 games. He has like
7-2.
3 A-level games, 3 D-level games, maybe. I mean, he decidedly has. He was great against Dallas. He was great against the Giants the second game, and he was great against Minnesota. And he was great against the Rams in the second. I mean, that's just what it was, right? But,
no, what it is you got on it. He rarely has a full game. That's the better point here, Kevin. You brought it up.
Yeah,
that's true. He rarely has a full game back. He just doesn't, for whatever reason. It's the confounding part about Hurts. It's there, though. See, here's the thing, Kevin. The best game of his career is the Super Bowl. They lost in 22. He was unbelievable. Yeah. Since then, in that 22 season, there was a breakout. The league plays him differently. Russell Wilson went through this in 2020 when teams are playing a lot of cover 2 to take away the deep ball. Hurts is the best deep ball thrower. Or let's put it this way. He's a top 3 deep ball thrower in the league. When you take that away, his game is completely different. Bottom line.
The fascinating things is the one half is great, one half is the worst thing you've ever seen. It's a lot of the same personnel. It's a different OC. It becomes confounding. Here's the incredible thing about the Eagles. They are 7-2, and yet they seem to be the most dysfunctional team in the NFC East when this week the Giants fired their head coach. We want to get a couple of quick thoughts from Cap around that situation after the break. We're with you right here on Sports Grid. We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numerous pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Back on this Friday night on SportsGrid. College basketball is live right now. NBA, couple of games. College football is some good action coming tonight. Some great stuff this weekend. Some really fun games in the NFL. We'll talk about those on Pro Football Today, where we are always joined by NFL insider Adam Kaplan, kind enough to give us a little bit of his time here on this Friday night. And as fun as it would be to the Eagles are fascinating. That is the reality, and we could keep going that way. The New York Giants fired Brian Dable, and we can rehash the why, if it's right. But, Cap, what I am now so fascinated in is what they are going to do. Because there's a lot of noise out there around how maybe the Giants would like this to play out. We've seen, Cap, I don't know if you looked into a ton of these, but some of the predictive markets, Kalshi has Mike McCarthy trending as a potential name. I know Clint Kubiak is a name that some Giants fans would love to see. Have you heard anything early around this New York Giants coaching search?
No, it's highly probable that it'll be a guy from the offensive side of the football that has developed quarterbacks. And by the way, okay, we don't want to get too deep into Dayball, but has better temperament. Dayball was combustible. Yeah, no, I'm just telling you the truth.
No, it's a really good point. The tent stuff with the concussion.
No, just the way he's a very complex. He's a good person, but he's very complex. I've talked to countless people who work with him, whether it's the Bills, the Giants. At his heart, he's a good person, but he can't control his temper, and that's gotten out. There was an ESPN piece by my friend Jordan Ronan that's out there, and others have done reporting, and I've known behind the scenes that you just don't know from a day-to-day basis how Daboll's going to handle himself in situations. But he's probably a better offensive coordinator. Some guys, the bottom line is some guys are just better offensive coordinators than head coaches. There's nothing wrong with that. He's a very smart guy. But the way that the early word, you want the early word, it's going to be someone most likely from the offensive side of the football. But they're not like bringing in like some guy from college football was the next Chip Kelly. Remember when the Eagles hired Chip Kelly? He was the next one. It didn't work out. They want someone who's developed quarterbacks before but can handle that market, that building, and the expectations. Since they fired Tom Coughlin, they've been totally downhill. Save the 1 year, 22 when they came out of nowhere. Ironically, Daboll's first year, Kevin. Yep. And not only did they make the playoffs, they won a playoff game at Minnesota. Who saw that coming? Certainly not anyone.
Can I ask you this though, Cap? I remember, it was last year. It feels like it was much longer. When Robert Saleh was fired early season, right? Yeah. There was the notion of let's just see what Ulbrich has. Do you think Mike Kafka is getting is a true tryout to potentially keep this job here with the Giants?
Here's the thing. He's really, really smart. He's a former Eagles quarterback and a journeyman, but really smart guy. Mm-hmm. The questions are, does he project to be a head coach? But they're going to get a good look at him. It's funny you say that. When Freddie Kitchens was the interim head coach for Cleveland after they fired Hugh Jackson. Yeah. No one knew anything about Freddie Kitchens. He did a phenomenal job as a play caller. Then he became a head coach. He was dreadful. But in their building, the Browns were very impressed with him when he took over for Hugh under tough circumstances. They're going to get a good look at Mike Kafka. If he does well at all, he's going to get a head of coaching. He'll get an interview. If they like what they saw, he'll get an interview. It's nice that he's worked with Jackson Dart's done a good job, but they want someone who's proven is the early word. Mm-hmm. Now they'll take their time with this. And by the way, Joe Schoen stayed. Schoen stayed. I know a lot of people are surprised by that. He's actually going to run the coaching search, but they're clearly blaming Brian Daboll here, not Joe Schoen.
And does that then happen? And there's so many things we can get into, and again, we'll get into a bunch of other stuff Sunday. Is your read that Joe Schoen is safe? Like Mike McDaniel, we know he is safe for now. They'll reevaluate end of season. Yeah. Is Joe Schoen safe for now, or is he just safe and he's good to go?
Well, no, the way it's going to work is he'll be back next season because he's going to run the search. You cannot interview anyone who's with a team until after the season's over. The question now, here's one thing I'll bring up, and this ties into Jacksonville with Liam Cohen and Trent Baalke. I know Cohen's denied it, but no one around the league believes it. Cohen clearly did not want to work with Baalke because remember, Cohen all of a sudden changed his mind. He was their number one target. He took his name out of it, and then once Baalke was fired, he came back in and became the head coach. So let's say there's a head coaching candidate that sees Joe Schoen as a lame duck. That could hurt them.
Yeah.
But that head coaching candidate, any head coaching candidate knows they're going to be working with Schoen. That's the way it is.
All right. Very interesting. I hate the way they're doing this. It's early, though. Who knows? Maybe they'll get it right. But Joe Schoen was like, yeah, Daboll picked Dart. And now Shane stays, and the whole thing just feels a bit of a mess. NFL Insider, Adam Kaplan. Cap, we appreciate it as always. We'll check in again on Sunday. We are hitting a break here on SportsGrid. We're going to come on back, get our guy Joe Lisi in the mix. Big college football tonight and this weekend. We'll talk about it here on SportsGrid. now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
No, but the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numa's pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Now we go off the rails. Game time decisions with none other than Joe Lisi. Joe, it is great to see you on a Friday night. You can catch Joe this weekend on both College Football Today and Pro Football Today. He's a star like no other, and I do mean that despite maybe the tone in my voice. Lisi, I want to hit the ground running if I may. Clemson, Louisville. A Clemson team that was DOA. I should have known better. We've talked about it off air. Key indicators is right when it came to this Clemson team. I missed them. It happens. But they've been playing better football. You betting this one tonight against Louisville?
I'm betting it in game, Kevin. I can't bet a pre-kick. And again, expecting Clemson to put back-to-back games together, especially on the road with Louisville fighting for their ACC championship lives, a potential college football playoff appearance, knowing how good Jeff Brom has been in a big spot. And I understand they lost to Cal last week, but that line was way too much for them to lay against a very good Cal team that's coming on with Justin Wilcox. I actually picked Cal last week to potentially strike the upset. But again, in this spot, we're basically a pick 'em at 2.5, 3. I can't back Clemson right now, Kevin. And again, I know they got the win over Florida State, but that was more about Florida State with their not being a complete football team than what Louisville is right now. And they still have a competent offense led by Miller Moss. I still believe in their rushing attack. And at the end of the day, Jeff Brom has proved to be a much better head coach over the past couple of years than Dabo Swinney. So for that matter, I mean, if I had to pick, I would lay it with Louisville.
Are you betting this Oregon-Minnesota game? PJ Fleck?
I do like Minnesota and Lindsey with the points. Again, coming off a very disappointing, I shouldn't say disappointing, lackluster, grinded out blue-collar win against Iowa. They did what they had to do. They got the win in no cover. I just think Minnesota potentially is live. You look at PJ Fleck, a very good overall road coach, catching double digits, more than 3 touchdowns and a field goal. I'll take my shot with the Golden Gophers, knowing that Oregon has USC on deck.
All right, now that we got that out of the way, there's big games this weekend. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I blew it already once in this show. I said we would talk with Coach Bowden about him. And then I had to let him go. I didn't realize the segment structure. So it would be a real mistake for me to not bring up Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, Alabama, Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas. However, you set me up during the break that you have a trending play. Now, it's up to you. You make the rules, not me. Do you want to talk about it now, or is this just a tease for tomorrow's show?
No, because I don't, best bets
All right, go ahead. Enough
sometimes get lost in the weeds.
Enough said.
I have a KPI, Kev, that nobody in the country has. It's the Lisi system, and this key performance indicator has never failed me in over 18 years, just about 18 years. And I just got inside info for me that lets me believe that LSU is going to be a live wire. I thought their potential for them to come out flat against Arkansas. I'm serious.
Come on.
You love spread math, don't you? You love spread math,
I
right?
sure do. Oh.
Okay, so let's talk about this. You have an Arkansas team who you and I have backed throughout the regular season and have made us money against Tennessee, against A&M, where they co-ed 7.5 points in both of those games. They lost both of those games by 3 points. I also had Arkansas on the road against top-ranked Ole Miss, and they lost that game by 6 points. Okay, so you're telling me now 7.5 basically to Tennessee, 7.5 to A&M on their spot, and now LSU, that's 5-4. Disappointing loss on the road against an arch rival, hasn't shown much, and then it's a rivalry game. Arkansas coming out of a bye week, and this line opens up at 6.5, and they bet it down to 5.5. A team that's winless in the conference? Are you kidding me? I think it's a smash job. Double-digit win. Could be the most impressive win by LSU this season. And I don't mean, and when I mean impressive, margin of victory, and I'm not talking out of conference. I'm talking in conference, most impressive win of the year. And let's keep in mind, last home game, seniors want to go out in style. LSU rolls.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I will say this. Spread math does check out, all right? You can't be trusted sometimes with spread math, so I was a little concerned. But I also don't know who the heck's playing quarterback for LSU.
It don't matter.
I assume you don't care.
Matter.
Yeah,
Van Buren, put in your head that Van Buren's going to get the start. Nussmeier had a setback. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Trust me. If Nussmeier's under center, we could have a more vanilla type of game plan. I want Van Buren under center.
All right. Give me a thought here. Bama, Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas. Which favorite do you think is a little bit more on upset alert?
I think it's Alabama, and I just go into the simple fact that Alabama lost to this defense last year, right? And that was with the more athletic quarterback in Jalen Milroe. They lost it 24-3. You look at the stats, Oklahoma is one of the best run defenses in all of college football, basically under 3 yards a carry, 80 rushing yards per game, and they play solid third down defense. And Alabama's not running the football consistently. So they have the ability to potentially be in predictable long third downs. And with Oklahoma fighting for their life with an extra week of preparation, I'll take my shot. I think John Mateer is live. I think people are selling Oklahoma short, and I think they win the game outright.
Outright, huh? Wow. What about what some are calling one last stand? Notre Dame, Pittsburgh, the final shot for the Irish to be eliminated from CFP contention. Would you agree with that assessment?
Absolutely. And I've told multiple people this that are Notre Dame fans. You know, I do another show off the airwaves who's a big Notre Dame fan. And he thought I was nuts. But I said it's the most pressure CJ Carr has felt since week number 1 on the road against Miami. Where's the pressure situation? Knowing that they have one of the hottest teams in the ACC that won 5 straight, an offense that's averaging 39 points per game and over 300 passing yards per game. And the strength of Pittsburgh's defense is a defense that's only allowing that front seven, 74 rushing yards per game and 2.4 yards per carry. They're weak in the secondary. They could be exploited over the top. They're allowing 238 passing yards per game, have allowed 18 passing touchdowns and 61% completion percentage to opposing quarterbacks. Carr has to step up. I'm not saying he hasn't lived up to the hype up until this point, but going on the road and laying 12.5 points in this type of environment where basically Pitt is playing with house money because technically it really doesn't matter to them. They really care about an ACC championship. They have the ability to roll the dice. I think it's a very close game. I think Notre Dame might keep it, win it, but I'll take the 12.5 points. I think it's a gift.
I'll say this, all right? If you're a Notre Dame fan and you're not worried about this game, I think you're crazy. I think you're crazy. I think that means you're not familiar with Narduzzi. I will say, though, I thought Narduzzi's comments, maybe he was just having fun. He is a fool if he means that. Because if they beat Notre Dame, they have life for an outright bid into the college football playoff, this Pittsburgh team.
Exactly.
So it's a big game for Pitt as well. I'll say, and I'll add this on top, and I think Joe's spot on. At least I appreciate it. I can't wait for Sunday. You're going to do a great job tomorrow. I agree Carr has to step up. I think he will. I'm on his passing yards over in the game. There's 245.5 out there. It's up to 254.5 in other spots. I think he can throw for 300. He averages 300 a game on the road so far early in his career. Lise, you're the best. We got Brady Cannon stopping by after the break on SportsGrid. We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, brother, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Newman's Pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Quick little update. I mean, I don't know if I should ignore this, but I'm not going to. If you have YouTube TV, it looks like they have agreed to a deal with Disney. And, yeah, about time. Whole thing was ridiculous. I'll leave it at that. It's glad it's back. I don't need to do a whole thing. We've got more important things to do, like talk to our guy Brady Cannon. We always get to check in with before a big-time NFL slate. We have a huge NFL slate coming up this weekend. Brady, I want to mostly just hear about some of the games that have stood out to you, but I want to ask you this. You have marquee games, right? Detroit, Philly,
the Rams Seahawks in a contest, right? Where, like, we know the public, but is the public versus the consensus plays the same in a contest, or is it a sharper contest where actually the sharp side's the public side in a contest? Because you've done an excellent job kind of informing us the strategy that comes with playing in something like this. So I'm curious how it then impacts these marquee games, Chiefs, Broncos, Rams, Seahawks, like I said.
Yeah, it's a great question. And, I think in large part, both of these sports books, the Westgate Superbook and the Circa Sportsbook, are catering to sharp customers. But now we're talking contests, rather, where you have thousands of people involved in these contests. So certainly, I would say the majority of the entrants in those contests are not professionals or quote unquote sharps or what have you. It's probably a greater sampling of recreational players to an extent. But I think also, it's not just people that don't know, anything from Adam. I mean, there's experience and the public's gotten a lot smarter over the last few years too. I mean, there's more information, yada, yada. So it's a tough question to answer, but I would say in these, even though these are sharp books, I would say because there are so many participants in these contests, you probably have the recreational side outweighing the sharp side slightly. Now, as far as these marquee games, Kevin, just because it's a marquee game, a wise sports bettor is not going to make a bet on them, let alone a contest play, what have you. And it's funny, in our contest card this week, as of yet, we always reserve the right to change. But at this point here on Friday afternoon, we did not land on any of the afternoon games. And I mean, Chiefs Broncos, we talked about this one on Tuesday. Is the line probably inflated? Yeah. Do I think the Broncos are going to lose? Yeah. So I don't know which way to go there. Detroit and Philly. I know the Sharps took Philly at 1.5. Are they taking them at 2.5? Maybe a little bit. Are they taking them at 3? No. Seahawks Rams. Oh, that one's really hard. So no, we just couldn't, aside from popularity and, marquee games, and we just couldn't really find a side we fell in love with in any of those.
So then let us in, Brady, a little bit. What did the group start to really fall in love with as the week carried on?
Well, last week we talked about this as well. Last week we really tried to go against the grain, and it worked out great. We went 4-1. We had the Jets, we had the Texans, we had the Dolphins, and we had the Saints. The only loser we had was the Packers. So this week we're still, fair to Midland as far as the standings. We still have a lot of ground to make up. So we still need to get a little bit aggressive and try and make a move. But we didn't get as aggressive as we were last week. We didn't go completely rogue. We played the Buffalo Bills, who I actually think will be a favorite that is slightly in the minority because Tampa Bay's seen as a good team. I just don't like their situation going into this weather. Looks like a nasty game. Looks like a good bounce back spot for the Bills. Again, public perception a little low on the Bills right now with some recent struggles, most notably the loss to the Miami Dolphins last week. The Titans. Now, this could be a popular play in the contest, Kevin, because in the contest, the Titans are getting 6.5. And in the live markets, they're getting 6 or even 5.5. And who knows, maybe we'll see 5. So that's just a straight value play with what you're getting in the contest versus what the live market is dealing. And I do think it's a good spot for the Titans. They're off of a bye. They were shut out by this opponent earlier in the season. The Texans, a minor miracle last week, to get and combined with a Jacksonville collapse just to get home in that one. And then we took the Bengals. I mean, can the Steelers really be trusted, especially as a 5.5-point favorite? Bengals off a bye situation there. And let's see, who else? The Bengals. The Jaguars. You and I talked about this one on Tuesday as well. We were thinking that line was going to be a lot higher, but, if you look at the look-ahead line, it was actually Chargers -1.5. So getting it out to 2.5 or 3, it has increased a little bit. But I just think these offensive line woes for Los Angeles can't hold up week after week. And they survived the Pittsburgh Steelers and that older, pass rush, even though they got to Herbert a handful of times. They survived and got a victory. I'm not so sure that's going to be the case week after week, and especially here on the road in Jacksonville, a part of the country where they've really struggled this year. Barely beat the Dolphins, struggled against the Titans, and I think this is a pretty good spot for the Jaguars.
Man, there's a lot of interesting spots. Now, Brady, you said that you would lean in the moment towards Houston or Tennessee?
Titans, Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm okay because I thought that's what I heard, and I wanted to make sure that I
may
wasn't
have said
trying.
Texans.
No. I think it was I think it was me, but I wanted to make sure that I wasn't willing it into existence because Tennessee is, in my opinion, the most difficult team to bet on in football right now. Yeah. Because as bettors, the results are the results, right? But nobody wants to feel stupid, and Tennessee, I think, has made people feel dumb all year. It's a lot of points, and then
It's been a few seasons. I mean, there have been some great spots for Tennessee over the last couple seasons. Now, a total contrarian move here would have been to take the Houston Texans at a bad number. But like I said, we didn't want to go totally aggressive because in the contest, it's 6.5. So if you're really trying to make a move, you probably lay the 6.5 with Houston.
The crazy thing to me is just the idea that Davis Mills is flirting with being a touchdown road favorite. Brady, we appreciate checking in as always. Make sure you guys check out the contest show here on SportsGrid. We'll get you all the picks on the other side. We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF.
Okay.
She's on the OF.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF.
So he's got
now.
an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, brother, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numa's pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions. Now, I know this may be confusing to some of you, but I need clarity on something that was said to me on the way in. Did someone in the back actually bet Iona -2.5 in the first half? Let me tell you, folks, someone did. Now we don't unveil our mystery man, okay? And we won't. But someone back there bet Iona -2.5. They were down by as many as 10.
They hit a 3 with under 10 seconds to go to win the first half, 36-33. This Iona team's a sneaky wagon. Love what I'm seeing, and I love what I'm seeing in the back. We have to then begin with the Friday 5, which is the only option. It's the only option. Mystery man. Listen, man. Hey, you got to be in it to win it. That's what I've heard from him time and time again. Brock Purdy interception. What a play. I am just going to say this. The mystery man is my favorite thing we do on this show. For someone who does have a bit of an ego and loves himself, I don't know if you can do what we do and not. It has nothing to do with me. It wasn't my idea. It's not my pick. It's just the process is great. And it changes. That's not a person. I don't know if that's not it changes. It's been unveiled once. Shout out Tom Vecchio. I'm still convinced he did it because it was a winner. At some point, we're going to have to find a way to under the hat him and fade him. I'll say that. He won't know. But we're not fading the mystery man. We're backing Brock Purdy for a pick. Where do you even come up with it? I don't know. But you got to be in it to win it. Chiefs laying 3.5. AJ. Niners first half -1.5. Sam. Woody, what's goody? Mark's anytime touchdown. D'Amico Ryans has been getting real freaky with some of these Woody Marks comments. He wants to feed the beast. +145. Shout out target player props. Wheel alert. That's me. What a chalk special. JSN and Puka for 200 plus. We're just going back to the wheel. Back to the well. I'm rattled. 200 plus. We did it with Taylor and Bijan. I wish this game was in Spain. I really do. Instead of Commanders Dolphins, it is what it is. I will be playing just like I did with Taylor and Bijan, all the combos. 5 a quarter, 10 a quarter, catch a quarter, each for a catch a quarter, the whole gambit. They both might have 200 yards. I don't know. We're going to play it. We're going to have some fun with two of the best wide receivers in football. Let's get to your GTD State. We got some sizzles out there, people. We do. Look at AJ. Step up, smash. Fade Lisi. It'll make him like it even more. AJ on Notre Dame. -12 and a hook against Pitt. Classic Yarnell wheel pick. Not a wheel pick, but just an outrageous one. JMU, third quarter, -5.5. I mean, where do you even come up with this stuff? Really? He is out on assignment, I've heard. Chris with a money line special. I'm not mad at it. There's other times I've been mad at it. That might be a bad look for me that I'm not mad at this one, but I think he may be seeing it clearly. Trojans, roll tide. USC, Alabama, money line parlay. That's a +105. Probably a bit of a bias because I think I like USC. I think I like Bama. Give me Ty Simpson. Over the 1.5 passing touchdowns. -111. Ty Simpson has thrown 2 passing touchdowns in every game this year except for his most recent. That's a supreme double the meat spot. Going up against a team at OU who gave up 3 passing touchdowns to Tennessee. They've given up at least 1 to every SEC quarterback they've faced this year. Give me Simpson to bounce back and go over 1.5. And a final reminder of our best bets for tonight. One of them is live right now. I have no idea what the score is. 3-0 Clemson on Louisville. Not great. But it's early. All right, we got to wake it up. Listen, I'm just telling you more often than not, checking with our guys Chris's bet, it's not trending, and then it trends back up. Now, UMass absolutely did not let that happen. That did not happen. Chris will never bet UMass again. But then again, when's their next game? We may need to find out. Hofstra -3.5 for Sam. Does anybody even know who they play? Honestly, I don't think so. They might not even be on the board. Like that's on the board. Give me the Spurs -2.5. Great spot against the Warriors. They just played in San Antonio. Golden State needed everything to win that game. Got 46 from Steph. Spurs take the cup game tonight. We're on UCLA Mooney line against Arizona. We will see you next week on Game Time Decisions.